quickly to finish that thought. The Rangers. Good afternoon. Are we live, Beaver? Good afternoon, everybody. I got to talk a little baseball. We got a lot of baseball news coming. Just really quickly, Beaver, the Texas Rangers with all those additions. Don't forget guys like Adolis Garcia, because Adolis Garcia and Nathaniel Lowe are crazy good bats. Like I said, I was just talking to Beaver. If the Rangers add maybe a Cody Bellinger, former MVP, maybe they're a little bit more sneaky. But anyway, we're here to talk basketball. Good morning, everybody. It's morning where I am. It is 8 o'clock in the morning here on the west coast of Alaska. So let's just hop into it. Decent night. Okay, what's up? Okay, what's up? UMBC is, they're probably a lot. Not a ton better than Columbia. Columbia is at home. I don't know a ton about UMBC. I know they got that Colton Lawrence kid, who's pretty damn decent. I know that UMBC hits the three ball very well. Columbia, there's not a lot to say about them. They're ranked in the 250s. I don't know what the line is. What did he say it moved from? 5.5 to what? Oh, yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah. They're just way better. They're just way better. Columbia's 340 in adjusted efficiency offensively, 320 defensively. UMBC's pretty damn good. They don't turn the ball over. They're 20th in turnover percentage, and they hit the three ball really well, 38% as a team. That's 35th in the country. So it makes sense why there's a line movement. They're pretty good. What else is on there? Yeah, it's on a play. It's already a play for me on the VIP. Over. Tarleton State, you're not going to hear a lot about them. It's Billy Gillespie. If you know who Billy Gillespie is, if you're a basketball guy, that's their coach, is Billy Gillespie. Decent team. They're just hard to prepare for because they run a weird offense. They also play a lot of good teams. I think they're top 50 in schedule. I like this game going over. I think both teams can score. I think Baylor likes to get up and down a little bit. Their average possession length's around 50 in the country. Not that Tarleton runs fast at all in any way. But like I said, they're hard to prepare for, and I just think that I think that they can score some points here against this Baylor defense. I also don't know how engaged Baylor's going to be, so the fact that Baylor might be not super engaged defensively, but they're always going to want to run because they have those athletes. I played it over. It's minus what? Oh, sorry. No, you're right. You're right. It's a play. It's 17 now. It's a play. I gave this out at 16 and a half. If it's at 17, so be it. I'm all over Oakland today. Look, first of all, Oakland is not a very good team. They're in the 300s at KenPom, but let me tell you something that Oakland can do. They can shoot. They can score, and they do not turn the ball over. Okay. That's going to be key in a game with Syracuse. They're going to slow it down. KenPom had that game at 60. Here, hold on. I think KenPom had that game at 65 possessions. So that's just at 65 possessions. Syracuse would have to be really on. And again, the Oakland defense is horrible. There's no question about that. Why am I playing on Oakland? This is the second time I've played on them in a row. They went up to IPFW after their coach called them out. They got killed against Cleveland State and Missouri State. Both those teams, Cleveland State and Missouri State, are mid-major, very good teams as far as mid-major wise. Oakland got smacked up by those teams. Their coach came out on Twitter, was like, yo, we can't play defense for blah, 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 blah. They came out against IPFW. They did lose in overtime, but I swear to God, I watched every single minute of that game. They should have won that game. A couple weird calls at the end, a couple missed shots. It is what it is. But I just I just think 16, 17 and a half is, or whatever the number is now, is just way too many. Jalen Moore, Trey Townsend, Rocket Watts, buckets. I don't know. I just like this Oakland team. I don't really like this spot for Syracuse. They just went up and played Notre Dame, and they looked fantastic. They got Georgetown, one of their first Big East games, on deck, so this is like a little bit of sandwich spot. I just don't know how motivated I'm going to see with the Orange, so give me Oakland, baby, plus the points. Iowa, here, first and foremost, my first thought I was Iowa, but I couldn't get, and the reason that I thought Iowa, Fran McCaffrey in November and December, ATS wise, very good, hitting at over 65%. Obviously, there's certain bad teams and stuff, but that's why I said is ATS-wise. Iowa, extremely well offensively. They got Chris Murray. Obviously, his twin brothers in the NBA right now. The Iowa offense is number 3 in the country, but the number one thing that Iowa does best, and you hear me talk about it a lot, is turnovers. They do not turn the ball over. Number 1 in turnover percentage in the country, according to our friends at KenPom. Look, they're kind of a public dog. It's a 2.5-point dog, but I'm on Duke. I hate it. I hate playing Duke, but I think that they're going to continue to get better as the season continues to go along. They're 17th in offense, 28th in defense. By the way, Iowa, as far as defense, is 76th in the country. Duke has a pretty decent advantage. I wouldn't say huge advantage inside, but their ability to offensive rebound is really key. Again, the three ball hasn't been hitting for Duke. I expect that to get better. I will die on that hill. They're not that bad at shooting. If we're into January and it's still at this 29-30% range, I'll go back on that. But as far as right now, I still think that they're going to hit shots. Mark Mitchell and Filipowski down low. They're a pretty damn big team. A lot of people like Iowa here. This will be Duke's kind of first big test in the Garden. This game's in Madison Square. This is part of the Jimmy V Classic tonight at the Garden. Yo, if you're in New York, by the way, tickets are like $35. Like, I don't know how you don't go to these games. It's ridiculous. But anyway, I'm on Duke here. Public's on Iowa. I'll lay it with Duke. Like I said, I think that there's a little bit of positive regression common for that 3-ball. Filipowski, Roach, Derek Whitehead's getting healthy. And that's another thing with Duke is they're starting to get healthy. They're playing more together. Again, not really a bet against Iowa because it's really hard to bet against Iowa right now. But I do think Duke's a little bit better. Public seems to be pretty decently on Iowa. So I'll take the Dukies in a little bit of a faded Public spot.
All right, so we're on to Illinois, Texas. Craig, we're going to be talking about both Maryland, Wisconsin, and Yale Butler coming up, so stick around for
that. Illinois in Texas, client play for me as well, guys. I'm on the Illini. What's the number now? 2.5. It's came down. Okay, that's fine. I'm still on the Illini. I gave it out at 3. I went to bet it. I bet it at 3.5. So it has came down a full point since last night. That just tells me the books don't want me to have 3 anymore. Look, first and foremost, Texas, fantastic. Marcus Carr, Tyrese Hunter, Timmy Allen. Those are the 3 names you need to know. They're very good. There's no question about that. They're the number 1, number 2 team in the country, depending on who you talk to for a reason. Defensively, number 3 in the country in adjusted efficiency, 15th on offense for Texas. Everything they do defensively is good. This is another game this is a second game that's in Madison Square Garden in that Jimmy V Classic. Defense does travel. There's no question about that. But I don't love the spot for Texas. Why? Because they don't play anybody from home. They don't play anywhere but at home. Home, semi-home, home. neutral, which is this game, home, semi-home, home. These motherfuckers play like 9 road games all year. Like, I'm going to probably fade them half the time they're on the road just because. Texas has played the 306th hardest schedule in the country, so there's nothing really impressive there. So now you're going to tell me you're going to go on the road. Again, I don't think that they're going to like get blown out or anything like that. I just think that if you're laying points in that type of situation for Texas, it's kind of crazy. Illinois, on the other hand, just lost a road game, their first true road game to Maryland, which we had to play on Maryland if you're one of our subscribers. It was all over Maryland in that game. And it was a rough spot for them. It was their first road game, but guess what? Now they've done it. And Maryland's not it's not the hardest place to play, but at least I got a little bit of motivation with this team that just lost a game on the road that they probably feel like they should have won. And now they get a Texas team in Madison Square Garden where your best player, Terrence Shannon, who is streaky at times, he gets to play his old coach and Coach Beard. I get a little bit of revenge angle there. Coleman Hawkins and Sky Clark shooting the 3 ball because that's what Illinois can do. They can shoot the ball. They can score for sure. And their defense, by the way, I said Texas's defense is 3rd. Illinois is 12th. So it's not like there's this huge disparity in defensive numbers as far as the two teams. I'm taking the points with Illinois. And that's my spiel. Yeah, I really like the Illini here. Texas away from home is just not it for me. Maryland, Wisconsin. Up next. I just talked about how much I like this Maryland team, and I'm on them here today. Give me Maryland plus. Is it still plus 1.5? Yeah, give me Maryland plus the 1.5. Again, I'm all over the Terps here today. First and foremost, Wisconsin. Look, they lost to Wake, and then they went on the road to Marquette, and they looked pretty damn good against Marquette, can't lie. But they kind of let Marquette back into the game in the second half. They got pushed to overtime. They did win by 3 in overtime. But now they got Maryland at home, and then they had to go play another big game in Iowa on deck on the road, which will be an away game, which they've been playing neutrals, but they are they'll be their second away game. So it's kind of like a weird little sandwich spot. Obviously, Wisconsin has Tyler Wall, Chucky Hepburn. Chucky Hepburn's the shooter. Tyler Wall's the guy down low, getting nasty. Again, I like Wisconsin when they're getting points. I don't like Wisconsin when they're really laying points, essentially. And I really kind of started to get bullish on this Maryland team. All they do is win, man. They haven't lost this year. And against decent teams, St. Louis, Maryland, Miami, Illinois. I understand how bad I understand how bad Louisville is now. But at the time, they were bad at the time. But when you're making this game, you got to assume that that's a decent win. So I'm not going to give them, I'm not going to shit on them for that. But the Wisconsin offense, that's another thing. 92nd according to Ken Palm, 265th in effective field goal percentage, 347th in 2-point percentage. So it's just really bad. They're living and dying by the 3. I don't really know how much you're going to really rely on that with this Maryland team that's pretty damn decent. Chucky Hepburn is going to be guarded by a Jameer Young that's 6'1", but then you got Dante Scott, Julian Reese, 6'8", 6'9", Hakeem Hart. I mean, I just think that the Maryland length in general is going to bother Wisconsin. So I just this idea that Wisconsin is going to get a whole bunch of open 3 looks or good 3 looks, I'm not really sure it's there. I'm taking the points with Maryland here, guys. I've been riding this team for a couple of weeks now. I really like what they're doing. They're playing really good basketball right now. So I'm all over the Terps here. If you're going to give me points, I think it's going to be a close game. But if I had, like I said, I'm picking a side. This was a client play as well. I'm all over Maryland here today. St. Louis and Iona. Oh man, this is another game that's going to be kind of hard to get a really good. I mean, both of these teams are really good as far as mid-majors are concerned. We can start with St. Louis and Yuri Collins because he's the show. Javante Perkins is pretty good too, but Yuri Collins is the show. 2 losses on the year. Maryland Auburn, obviously, so that makes a lot of sense. Iona, on the other hand, hasn't really played that many teams or anybody good. Santa Clara was the best team that they played, which they lost to. Everybody seems to be on St. Louis here today, which I get, but I'm just not really there yet. Again, I just think that Iona has shown that they're pretty damn good. Defensively, they're pretty damn good as well. They're 81st in the country. St. Louis doesn't do a really good job of shooting the three ball. Again, it's more of a fade the public, but I'm on Iona here. It's probably not going to be a client play or anything, but I just think that getting points at home with this Iona team, coached by Rick Pitino, it's just one of those things that, I don't know. It just seems a little bit too easy. Like I was, to be dead honest with you guys, I probably would have taken St. Louis if the money wasn't so heavy in their favor, but it's just really hard for me to get there. It's a really big game for both teams, so I can see this going either way, but I'd take the points with the home team here. Yale and Butler. This is another one. Let me pull up these two teams really quickly. This is another one where I think it's a little bit harder to cap than you would think. 6.5 is a lot for a Butler team that's not very deep. They essentially play 5 guys. And they are going to continue to get healthy. It's not that like Yale's has a full deep bench of guys that I'm worried about that. It's just one thing that I always worry about with Butler that always concerns me, because if one guy gets hurt or foul trouble and stuff like that, it's really bad. But if you take a look at what Butler's doing, 85th in offense in Ken Palm, they got Chuck Harris and Jaden Taylor, who's pretty good. That Chuck Harris kid is actually pretty good. They don't rebound the ball very well. That's the one thing that Yale's going to do, is they're going to rebound the ball pretty well, and they're not going to turn the ball over. Butler doesn't have a huge turnover problem. But again, I would probably take the points with Yale. I don't have a play on this game personally. But if you're going to give me 6 points with a team that's probably one of their bigger games as far as them going to face Butler on the road. Butler's 86th in Ken Palm. They have Kentucky on the board, and that's pretty much it for Yale. So this game and their next game is probably their two biggest games as far as in their head, as far as the kids wise on their schedule. So again, just don't really love what I see from Butler yet. So I would take the points with Yale, but just because they don't shoot, they don't turn the ball over, they rebound well. Hopefully they can keep it close. But again, it's not a client play for me, but if I had to, I would definitely take the 6.5 with Yale. That'll be it for the show today. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the comments. I will definitely answer all the questions. Beaver, good idea with that. Appreciate that. Same time, same place tomorrow. I'll talk to you guys then.
Have a great day, everybody. I hope everybody wins the bets. All right.
They're going to win.